fear is striking you when you go in there. If you flop an interview, it's fear. It's not that you didn't have the skills or anything like that. It's that you got afraid and you choked. Who cares? If they don't like you, that's not the place for you. You're either going to fit or you're not. And you don't want to try to make yourself fit into a culture because you will be miserable and you will not be successful. Just be yourself. Maybe clean it up a little bit. You got to be the cleaner versions of ourselves. But be yourself and look for a culture that automatically just fits who you are.
Welcome back to another episode of the Who You Know Show podcast, where what you know is important, but who you know can make all the difference in your business, career, relationships, and life. My name is Trevor Houston, and on this show, you'll learn the strategy, grit, and mindset it takes to overcome obstacles so you can level up in your career, recover your cash flow, and live the life of purpose that God intended for you. Don't forget to look at the mic drop moments time-stamped in the show notes below. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure to pay it forward, subscribe, and leave an honest review so we can improve. Thanks for listening. My name is Trevor Houston, and please enjoy this episode of the Who You Know Show.
We've got a very special guest with us. Katherine McCord is the president of Titan Management, which is a national unique recruiting and consulting firm with a focus on startups, and the host of Career Launch Live. Katherine, what do you mean by ridding the hiring process of discrimination? What is the biggest discrimination that you're seeing within that hiring process?
That's a tough one, but I will tell you the truth. And actually, you touched on it earlier. Ageism is the number one type of discrimination that we are seeing. And it is a shape. And what's funny is that the bar for that is getting lower.
It's lower.
It used to be, I mean, Foster, it used to be like 65 is when they started getting weird on you. And then it dropped to 60, at 55, at 50. I just had a 45-year-old tell me, or 46-year-old tell me that she got discriminated against.
Wow.
That's insane. That's crazy. And there's still racial discrimination. I just got off the phone with a gentleman who told me that he applied to a job using his full name, he's a Hispanic. And he said, applying with his full name, he didn't get a call when he used the exact same resume for the exact same job 2 weeks later. And all he did was use his middle name.
Oh
got a
my
call.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's not good. Now,
horrible.
That's not good.
That's like me. Like, I tell people I'm Mark Elder, and then I go to apply for a job, and then they want to meet me to make like microchips and stuff. Like,
It's
Trevor
true.
makes me do all the IT work at, the Who You Know. And I'm like, what?
Trevor?
What's up with that?
What?
I think we need to have a session to talk about diversity and inclusion.
Hey,
And
Listen on the show. I know that they're wanting to hear, like, what are some strategies then? What
Okay.
are some techniques?
Yeah, what do we
how
do?
do you deal with this?
honestly, guys, a lot of it is you just have to be bold enough that it does not matter. I will tell you that even when you apply, if you have a bold enough approach, you are just fine. Let me tell you, if just as an example, if Trevor walked into my door and said, you need to hire me for sales, which I know he would, I'd go, okay, let's have a conversation. It's really that simple. Just be bold. Now, when it comes to, but people are going, okay, but how do I get the interview? How do I get that? How do I
get to there?
Number one, if you can, LinkedIn, it's the Who You Know, right? Get on LinkedIn, know somebody, find a way to know somebody. You're not necessarily going to know somebody right off the bat, but find a way to know them. On top of that, people don't like to hear this either. Go in their door. Let them see your face. Do not just be the name on the other side of the computer. Walk in there and have something to say and meet them.
I love that. And that right now is exactly what we're teaching, right? I mean, video.
Get
You
face to
can't-
face.
If you can't walk in right now, I
Yeah.
mean, just
Sometimes you can't.
in a lot of corporate security, right? Like, Pepsi's down the road. You can't just walk into Pepsi. Toyota's down the road. You can't just walk in there. But video, you can walk in with a video, through a video, and own it.
That's right.
Own the video.
Oh,
That's right.
you know what they told me, Catherine? I told a friend of mine that you were going to be on the show today, and he goes, remind those people that the phone is not dead.
Yes, the phone is not
Yeah,
dead.
pick
Pick
up the
up
phone and talk to
and call
somebody.
people.
Yeah, the phone's not dead. Well, the voicemail isn't dead, okay? Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to call, you're going to get a voicemail. That's just what's going to happen. Reality,
Yeah.
right? No one's picking up that phone. You're going to get a voicemail. So what are you leaving on the voicemail? Know that
Yes.
you're going to voicemail.
Yes. And be
Anticipate
prepared.
it, and have a phenomenal voicemail with a call to action to get you that conversation.
On your resume, show enthusiasm. I I get resumes all day long. I mean, I work in recruiting, so obviously I see resumes all day long. Show some enthusiasm, guys. If you're excited about a type of career, a particular job duty, something like, or the company, show that. Show that enthusiasm. I love doing this. Like my sales guys, I'm like, brag on yourselves. Don't act like you're not excited about how good you are at what you do. Brag on yourself. If you're in IT, what's something awesome that you programmed? Tell me about it. Show enthusiasm that comes through the page.
Well, that's something that people need some work on, selling themselves, because it's always easier to sell someone else than it is yourself, right?
Yeah, it is.
Like we sell all the time, guys. Every day is sales. Every single day. You got to convince your wife to marry you or whatever, right? Like you're always selling. You know what I'm saying? And it's a matter of being able to reverse engineer it and sell yourself in a way that doesn't sound cocky or, self-serving or anything like that.
Definitely confident.
Confident is good.
Yeah.
Cocky is not,
Cocky is not.
right?
Nobody want to deal with cocky.
Nobody wants to deal with that. Yeah,
You know what I'm
that's
talking
true.
about.
So in selling, one of the best ways to sell, we buy emotional, right? Data is important, but we buy emotional.
True.
And it's about disturbing. And so one of the ways that we talked about is finding a problem that the company is dealing with. And then maybe you talk about that in the interview, talk about that problem, just get them disturbed, and then be or present a solution.
100%. In fact, in one of our previous episodes, I think it was 2 episodes back when I had Susan on, we talked about that very issue. And I think that one of the things that people forget is that nobody ultimately cares what you did. It's what can you do for them? Okay. Let me tell you, I've had people walk into my office with no experience at all in recruiting, and I hired them and they kicked butt and took names. Why? Because they told me what they could do. So I think that what people need to focus on is not so much what you did, but here's a problem that you have. And like you said, mention that problem, throw it on out there, look them up. What do you have that's not quite working that I can fix? And you say, I know this is going on for you. This is how I'm going to fix it. And I'm excited to fix this for you.
Where do I get that information? That's where
Yes.
networking comes in. That's where the informational interviews are key.
So, guys, my dad told me if you want to know how to do something, go hang out with the people that do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to know when you're actually getting to the interview point. Okay. We're going to talk about the interview very specifically.
Okay.
What is it? We're going to go kind of back to y'all's theme of fear, right? What is it that stops you from being successful once you've gotten into that interview? What fear is striking you when you go in there that is stopping you from, because that's what it is, guys. 9 times out of 10, if you flop an interview, it's fear. It's not that you didn't have the skills or anything like that. It's that you got afraid and you choked. Who cares? If they don't like you, that's not the place for you. You're either going to fit or you're not. And you don't want to try to make yourself fit into a culture because you will be miserable and you will not be successful. Just be yourself, maybe clean it up a little bit. You got to be the cleaner versions of ourselves, but be yourself and look for a culture that automatically just fits who you are.
So, Katherine, have you ever felt that somebody's trying to tell us the answer that they think
Yes.
we want to hear?
Constantly. And that was the next thing that would leads right into what I was going to say next is they want genuine answers. Okay, guys, they're throwing you the curveball because they don't want your prepped answer. Now you should do some very basic prep, but just be genuine. Just respond in the moment. That's what people want because that's who they want to get to know the real you. I'd say 85% of hires are because they like you. 85%. I have sent people that are 100% qualified, can do everything and more. They don't get the job. The guy that made them laugh, that's the guy that gets the job.
And they hired him.
Yeah, he had 60% of the qualifications and he got hired. To get that interview, number one, look for a company that matches your culture. So whatever image you are portraying, make sure that you're reaching out to companies that match up with that. That's one of the number one things because I see that all the time. People reach out to companies that they don't align with.
What if I don't know what that is though? Like, how do I find a company? What would I do to search for a company that fits my values?
So, we're going to use you again. You are very strong in your face, right? So you are going to want obviously a very strong ethical company. If they portray Christian values, great. That's something wonderful. You're all about helping people. All 3 of you. Y'all live to help. That's the number one thing I admire about you guys. And so you're going to want a company that wants to help people too, right? Look for a company that has a message that really speaks to you. And then on top of that, also that does something that interests you. So if you're in sales or technology, that they're building something that excites you and that you have a connection to that. And that's one of the number one ways that you can get an interview. I've done that a million times when I thought, you know what? Let me just stop that authentic self, right? That's what it is. And when you just stop and you think, what really means something to me? And I would walk in a door and get a job like that every single time that I just stopped and really made sure that I aligned with that company. It worked.
Guys, when we are surfing the web for these jobs, we see a job posting and we get real excited about it. Y'all know why we get real excited about it? Because we know we're a good fit for that job.
Yes.
So at that point, you got to apply. We got to deal with the applicant tracking system. It's not the enemy. If a company spends $5 million for an applicant tracking system, you think they're going to use it? So, guys, let's not scan or shoot. Let's focus on those things that we get real excited about, because Katherine and Foster can help you with what you're fit for.
Well, in
100%.
two ways that you can to do that, right? If you're really trying to figure a company that aligns with your values and all that kind of stuff. So Glassdoor, you'd mentioned Glassdoor is a great way to get some research.
Right.
Mark, you'd mentioned informational interviews. That's another way to get an idea of what that company is actually like. What is it like to work there?
Yes.
Talk to the employees. Forget talking to the recruiters and the hiring managers. We're not there yet. Let's go get to the roots of just a straight up employee who works for that company and just have a conversation with them. What is it like working there? Why have you been there for 5 years? Why have you been there for 10 years? What kept you there so long?
Good
right?
question.
Get an idea of what it's like to work there on a day-to-day basis. And
100%.
And you may talk to some employees and they're like, I hate this company.
That's happened.
Yeah.
Well, that should be a red flag.
Especially if it's more than one.
Right.
Yes,
You get what I'm
absolutely.
Thanks for listening to the Who You Know Show podcast. My name is Trevor Houston, and if you've enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing wherever you listen and leave us a positive review to help us keep the mics on in the studio. Until next week, that's the show. It's all about who you know.